1. Assuming a property will always have cash flow. When buying rental property, cash flow should be a deciding factor. You need to do your own financial due diligence and ensure that you can pay the mortgage. If you're taking on a loan, in the event that you have months with no tenant paying rent, don't risk potential foreclosure and financial ruin because you failed to do a simple cash flow analysis and maintain sufficient funds to cover the mortgage payments when renters are few and far between. Failing to run the numbers and buying property with no cash flow is one of the biggest mistakes investors can make. If your property isn't producing cash flow, the chances of losing a lot of money on the investment are great. 2. Asking illegal interview questions. You don't want to run the risk of giving a potential tenant sufficient grounds to sue you for discrimination by asking the wrong questions during the screening interview. I'm on a goodwill. In business, you can't rely on promises. For your own legal protection, it's essential that your tenants sign a lease agreement to reside in the property and ensure that they understand the terms of the contract. If you run into problems with your tenant, you will need written, binding documentation, i.e., a lease, in order for the judge to make a ruling. Know your state's laws regarding leases and ensure that you use an appropriate form for your state. 4. Doing everything yourself. Thinking you can do everything yourself is your first mistake. If you talk to an experienced property investor, chances are they will tell you about all the systems and people they have in place to help them succeed. For example, if you want to have a personal life, you will want to outsource a property management company to take care of the day-to-day demands and on-site maintenance. The good news is the cost of a property manager is tax deductible. 5. Failing to perform rental rate analysis. Because you will be renting out your property to tenants, it's important to research comparable rentals in the area. Look at properties with comparable square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, etc., and find out how much they are renting for. Performing a rental rate analysis in the surrounding area will give you a good idea of how much rent you can expect to charge. It will also help you determine whether the monthly cash flow will produce a positive ROI or not. 6. Neglecting tenants. The homes you are renting out are your responsibility. If you do not regularly check in with your tenants and on the condition of the property, you will have no one to blame but yourself if something goes wrong. However, make sure that you are not violating your state's laws regarding tenant privacy before stopping by the property unannounced. You may inadvertently give them the right to sue you or be released from the terms of your lease agreement. 7. Buying rental property in a depreciating market area. This mistake is tied to a similar mistake, which is failure to do your homework. If you buy a rental property in a depreciating area, it may be nearly impossible to earn cash flow. Rents go down in depreciating markets, which means you'll be pulling in less monthly cash from tenants and losing equity in your depreciating property. So do your market research to avoid this common rental property mistake. In conjunction with this, never stop looking at other properties before buying. Even if you think you found the right rental property to buy, don't stop researching. Another big mistake investors make is failing to look at and research multiple properties. At the very least, doing so will give you a really good idea of what else is out there and how the property you're looking to buy compares to what you are looking for. 8. Not meeting state and local housing codes. As a landlord, you're required to make sure the property meets building code and safety standards. If you don't take care of your end of the legal bargain, your tenants may have grounds to break the terms of your lease agreement, potentially sue you, and even to be legally entitled to compensation for damage or injury due to your neglect. 9. Delaying an eviction. Not beginning eviction proceedings as soon as legally possible can be a very costly mistake. If you run into problems with a tenant and are unsure about your rights or how to proceed, contact an eviction attorney as soon as possible. 10. Underestimating ongoing expenses. Underestimating expenses is an easy mistake to make. That's because it is really hard to predict or estimate how much expenses will actually be. This is particularly true if this is your first time buying rental property. A good rule of thumb is to overestimate the cost of maintenance turnover and other ongoing expenses. As the old saying goes, it's better to have too much than too little. Don't make the mistake of not having enough cash reserves in the bank to cover both expected and unexpected expenses. 11. Paying too much. This mistake may sound like a no-brainer, but buyers overpay for houses all the time. One reason people sometimes overpay is because they don't do their research. They don't pay attention to the market in the area they are buying or overlook due diligence items like appraisals and inspections. Paying too much for a rental property makes it very difficult to see positive returns on your investment, especially right away. 12. Not changing your rent prices. You may have an amount in your head that you need to earn to make your investment work each month, and that's what you want. Except the real estate market doesn't work that way. There are ups and downs, and if you aren't flexible with your rent when you're looking for tenants, you may come out on the losing end. Instead, know when to increase or decrease your rent to be competitive and still make a profit. It's a delicate balance to figure out. 13. Underestimating the work involved as a landlord. When you take on landlord responsibilities, you are in charge of everything, including the 3 a.m. phone calls because a pipe burst. It's your job to handle the maintenance and repair issues no matter the time of day or what you have going on. You're also responsible for collecting rent, ensuring the tenant abides by the lease, and handling all aspects of paying for the home's needs. It can be a lot of work, and many landlords hire a property management company to do the work for them, especially when they buy a property that's out of state. 14. Not treating your investment properties as a business. Your investment properties are more of a business than an investment. You earn monthly income from the rent collected, and you're in charge of taking care of your tenants. If you treat it as an investment, you may miss opportunities for tax write-offs or chances to increase your income. When you treat your investment properties as a business, you're more likely to be professional and work hard to keep your earnings up and increase your capital gains. 15. Not assessing the area's rent before buying a property. Just because you think a property is great doesn't mean the renters in the area think the same. Knowing how much you can charge for rent in the area and how likely people will rent the property. The number you have in mind that you can charge for rent may not be the average rent for the area. Don't find out the hard way. Know the area's average rent before you buy so you can make sure it's worth it. 16. Not marketing your properties. When you have a vacancy, it takes time to fill it. Not marketing the property will leave it vacant even longer. Getting the word out about the property will help you fill it faster.